There's a definition of reading which is called the simple definition. This says that reading is the product of decoding and comprehension. Now, if we look at that mathematically, if decoding is at 0, no matter how much you understand, you're still not reading because you actually can't work out the words on the page. Conversely, if decoding is 100%, but comprehension is at 0, you're still not reading because you're decoding the words on the page, but you don't understand them. Reading is the product of the two. You have to be able to read the words accurately through decoding, and then you have to understand what you're reading.
For most children at Blue Gate Fields Infants, English is an additional language. For the last 5 years, the school has achieved above national average in reading and writing in the Key Stage 1 tests, with more than 90% of children currently achieving Level 2 and above. The literacy planning in the school is built around a range of strategies.
What we've done in literacy is to make sure that there are lots of different opportunities for children to learn in different ways. What we believe is that the children need to have a whole range of strategies, both when they're reading and they're writing, and that it's our job to make sure that they're confident in using all those different strategies.
If you know that the word dog maps onto the letters D-O-G, when you see the word dog, you are able to construct the sound of those 3 letters. So you can go from print to sound and therefore to meaning. And that's really what phonic awareness does. It enables you to map the letter-sound correspondences.
Look at this now.
There's a current controversy about the teaching of phonics as to whether one should teach analytic phonics or synthetic phonics. Analytic phonics tends to focus on enabling the children to explore language, to consider whether words rhyme, whether they alliterate, and it places less emphasis on the specific phonemes, the sound units in words. The opposite of this, in a sense, is synthetic phonics. Synthetic does not mean artificial here, it means synthesis of sounds. So when you're doing synthetic phonics, you're ensuring that children are aware of the letter-sound correspondences and can blend them together.
The children start learning about phonics in the nursery. We know that before the children can start to distinguish between sounds of letters, they need to be really cued in to listen to different sounds that are around them. We don't say to them, you're doing phonics now, it's a game for them.
Everybody put your hands up. Would you like to point at the musical instrument? Do you agree?
Yes. We move from the sound discrimination, we move into initial sounds. We move into CVC words, which is a lot about generating rhyming words.
Thug. Bug likes to hug a slug. Ag!
We do lots of reading of the words and breaking the words up. As it progresses through, we start looking at blends, we look at final phonemes, final sounds.
Just the last phoneme.
So it becomes a game for them. It's not something that they see as being, oh, it's phonic time, we've got to sit down and do something that's boring. They love it. They understand how it works and it's something they want to do.
My turn first again.
The school runs in-house training in phonics for teachers and support staff. Training in phonics is threaded through all Tower Hamlets courses. Literacy consultants and expert literacy teachers model practice on these courses and also in schools.
Shop. Good, well done. What's the first phoneme? What's the first sound? Shakira. Good. And I nearly forgot. Shakira. Can you say Shakira?
The daily 15-minute phonics sessions in reception, Year 1 and Year 2, are highly structured.
Good. See if you can leave a space.
sh. Let's have a look. Good boy. Well done. That's excellent.
It's very oral, it's very pacey, and one of its strengths is it's got a very strong structure. So every session goes hear it first, because if they can't hear it, you shouldn't be going any further. But you do know from the early stages that they can do that. It goes hear it, read it, write it, revise it, and that structure follows all the way through the stages.
Zug the bug. What do you recognise about his name? Put your hand up if you can hear something clever about his name, Yusuf. It rhymes. Do you want to say Zug the bug?
Zug the bug.
Okay, Sadia, that's fine. Now, Zug the bug just loves to hear words that rhyme with his name. Have a think and put your hand up if you can think of any word that rhymes with bug. Tamina. Lug. Should we all say lug?
Lug.
Very good, Sadia.
Slug.
Slug. What a good one. Everybody say slug.
In English, rhyme is very important, but rhyme tends to be the last vowel and consonant sounds. So if you're aware of rhymes, you might not necessarily be actually aware of the individual phonemes. You need to be aware of the phonemes in order to map the letters.
Predominantly our pupils are Sylheti Bengali speakers, and that's a phonetic language. So we can rhyme in Bengali. And we do believe in being very much upfront with pupils about what's true for their languages as opposed to English, and sharing those differences and celebrating those differences. So that's something we will be very upfront about.
Now, this is where we've got to get our listening ears ready. Are you ready with your listening ears? Oh, that's very good. I'm going to say one of our words, and I want you to repeat the first phoneme in the word. Rug. First phoneme. R. Everybody say.
Rug.
What about hearing the last phoneme, the sound at the end? Let's try pug. Hand up, Tamina.
Pug.
Just the last phoneme.
G.
Everybody say g.
G.
Okay, now I'm going to try and trick you now, because I know you're so clever, but this is really hard. I want you to hear the middle phoneme, the sound in the middle. Not the beginning, not the end, the one in the middle. Okay, ready? Let's have mug. Hand up. Mariam. Very good, that's excellent. Can we all say okay, good, lovely. So it's mug. Let's say mug. Excellent. That's the middle phoneme. Now, Teddy's going to say a word, but he's not going to say the whole word. He's only going to say the separate sounds. And you've got to work out which word he's saying, so you've got to be really clever. S, L, A, G.
Slug.
What is it? What is it? Somebody who hasn't had a go yet. Tasnima.
Slug.
Is she right?
Yes.
Slug. Let's see if you can all do that with Teddy. Are you ready? You ready with your arms? G. Slug. Excellent. How many phonemes was that?
4.
Now you're going to show me how really clever you are. We're going to read some of these words. This one. Hug. See if I've got a tricky one for you.
The school also teaches high-frequency words as sight vocabulary.
Because of the nature of the English language, children really need to have exposure to the high-frequency words from a very early age, because so many of these high-frequency words are exceptional or irregular in terms of their spelling. In order to understand the text that you're reading, you need to be very fast and accurate in reading these words, because they will provide the architecture to understanding the rest of the sentences.
There are some words that it's just easier for the child to be able to read straight away. When they're reading, we don't want them to be struggling over every single word.
The children are encouraged to use their strengths.
Some children are really good at remembering what words look like. The word like, actually a lot of children recognise the shape of it. And you'll see them writing, and you'll see them thinking and looking up, and they'll be changing it because they're thinking, actually, I've seen that word before, or I've written that word before. Excellent. Put your board in your lap, get your pen ready. I'm going to read some words for you. Right, we're going to do some rhyming words together first. If you can spell dark, you can spell bark. Off you go.
As you are thinking of the words you want to write, you map those phonemes onto letters and you write the word.
Right, Imran, say the word, let's say it. B-A-K. Look at your word, does it look right?
Now, it may well be that you start with K-A-T and you write it as K-A-T. However, when you see K-A-T, you might think, oh, that doesn't look quite right.
What do you need to do to it? B-A. Good boy, what do you need to put?
K.
C or a K, what do you think? Good boy. Think about, try and remember what that word looks like. We find it particularly useful in terms of writing and spelling. Ready? Parch. Oh, that ends a little bit differently, doesn't it? Think about the final phoneme. What can you hear at the end? What's the end?
The school stresses that it teaches children to use phonics strategies in conjunction with others, not in isolation.
We're also thinking about all those strategies that they need, like, does it look right? So trying to prompt them to think about their visual recall of that word. Right, can you check it, Yusuf? Does it look right? Say it to yourself. Let's say the word with Yusuf. Parch. You look at it. Parch, does it look right? You've got pr. Does it look right? Can you fix it? You have a go for me. You've seen what you've done, haven't you? Good boy.
While the school is committed to its systematic teaching and assessment of phonics, it is conscious that there exists in this approach a potential drawback, which, if not acknowledged, could impact on both teachers and parents.
Sometimes, because it's so easy, if you like, to assess how well the children are doing in phonics, that can become very easy to say, oh look, my child can read because they can read these words that they've been taught, and a very simple CVC words, for example, to sound out. We don't see that as reading, and we don't want to be teaching something simply because it's easy to assess it or it's easy to explain to parents what we're doing.
What other sound does that letter make?
The school also identifies a risk factor for the children in too much emphasis on phonics.
We have to make sure the children don't become reliant on it, because otherwise they sound out words that they don't know, and it doesn't make any sense to them. So we really have to make sure that the children don't become reliant on any one strategy, that what they're doing the whole time is cross-checking. So they're looking at the sounds, but they're also making sure that what they're reading is making sense.
Yes, phonics is really good and it's vital, but it's just a small part of a whole system and a whole range of approaches.
You have to teach them phonics or phonemics or decoding. And that can often be done with words out of contexts, in lists, playing around with the sounds of words. But eventually what you have to do is to ensure that children can then use that skill with books, because that's the point of reading, it's reading words on the page. So right from the start, children do need to be applying their knowledge to books.
What I really wouldn't want is for us to say to our children, we want you to learn lots and lots of phonics before we allow you the opportunity to have books. But children have a right to have lots of books. They have a right to be reading books and to have books read to them, and that's what we want for our children.